Well, good evening, everybody, and I want to welcome you to our Edelife webinar. I'm really excited to be able to provide information about the clinical trials that may help you make informed decisions. So welcome, whether you're on Zoom with us this evening or you're listening to the webinar later. So I want you to know that NFED has a huge investment in this research and that we have paved the way for the clinical trials for the past 30 plus years. We funded the first researcher who identified the gene for XLHED, and we have funded every step of the way and supported these clinical trials. So we're very excited about the potential and the impact it'll have for our families. So I'm very grateful to our participants tonight. Beth Murphy's on, as she has got many professional and personal accolades and accomplishments, but tonight she is a mom of an affected child and they participated in the clinical trials. And we thank her for her courage and her bravery. Dr. Kathy Grange, she's a clinical geneticist at Washington University, a full professor, St. Louis, Missouri, St. Louis Children's Hospital. Dr. Grange has been involved in our organization for a long time. She's been on our scientific advisory council, and she has made so many contributions to our organization and our community. Dr. Pedro Sanchez is an associate professor in clinical scholar track at the Department of Pediatrics. He's a pediatric medical geneticist in the Department of Pediatrics at Children's Hospital Cedars-Sinai, and Dr. Sanchez is a new member of our Scientific Advisory Council, so we're delighted to welcome him. And we're so grateful that he is part of our organization. Dr. Grange is one of the PIs, primary investigators in the clinical trials at Washington University. And Dr. Sanchez is participating in the clinical trials along with Dr. Ophir Klein at Cedars-Sinai. So they are experts in the clinical trials. And Greg Klimovich is on. He's the Director of Development and Communications here at the NFED. And I think I said I'm the Executive Director. So welcome. And Greg, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Great. Thanks, Mary. And again, it is such a joy and a privilege to be able to sit here and talk with all of you. Our hope is that this conversation would really kind of really be very relational as you talk to not only clinicians, but then also to talk to real life people participating in the trial. But we're going to start by talking with Dr. Grange and Dr. Sanchez a little bit. So why don't I start there and just let the two of you actually go ahead and introduce yourselves. Dr. Grange and Dr. Sanchez, share a little bit about where you actually call home, where you practice, and maybe even just something that defines you, maybe even beyond the work that you do, something fun about who you are.
Sure, yeah. My name is Kathy Grange. I'm, as Mary said, a professor of pediatrics at Washington University in St. Louis and at St. Louis Children's Hospital, which is affiliated with WashU. And I've been there almost 25 years. And before that, I was at St. Louis University, also practicing clinical genetics. So I've been in this field for a long time. And I see a lot of individuals, patients with all different kinds of genetic conditions. But as Mary said, I've been with the NFED on the Scientific Advisory Council since 2006. And because of that, got really interested in ectodermal dysplasias and learning more about them and attending the family conference every summer, which has been a lot of fun. And for me to meet all the people and also get involved with the clinical trials. And starting in about 2011, working with another company before the current sponsor of the clinical trial, we did a number of different sort of preclinical trial natural history type studies to learn more about the individuals with XLHED kind of in preparation for a clinical trial. So that was a lot of fun, getting to do those studies at the summer family conference. And then leading up to what we're doing now with the treatment trial. And like I said, I've been in St. Louis a long time. I have 3 kids. I've got 5 grandchildren now. And so I'm pretty busy with all that, plus my work. And yeah, that's where I am.
Great, thank you. Dr. Sanchez.
So I'm Pedro Sanchez. I'm a pediatrician and geneticist, and I've known about the study for many years. I've heard Dr. Grange talk, and I know Dr. Klein very well. And so when the opportunity came up to have a second site in the U.S. and they needed help and support, it fit perfectly with what I love to do. Wear both hats: the geneticist to get the diagnosis, and the pediatrician to just know, development and the condition. And after they have a diagnosis, it's really just supporting their current team and sort of helping the family navigate their story. As an individual, I'm also a father of a child who has a rare condition. My son has severe hemophilia A. It was new in our family, like many conditions are in many families, and I was already a geneticist, but it helped me really connect with the community and know that communities need that support. And I'm a community member, a physician, a geneticist, whatever hat I have to wear. It's just great to be around people who, care about that community and just want hope and new treatment. So, what do I do for fun? I like to hike. I like to play board games with my family and go to family support groups. So, this was my first ectodermal dysplasia community meeting, and right away I just got energized to meet new families and help out and join the advisory board. So this is, I'm happy to be here.
Wonderful. Greg, I just want to interject something real quick. So both Dr. Grange and Dr. Sanchez, they're brilliant, absolutely brilliant clinicians and researchers, but they have a deep care for patients and connected with patients. And I think that's remarkable. So they give their heart along with their brains. And I think and we are so grateful. Thanks, Greg.
Oh, of course. So, well, diving into conversations about the actual trial and your role within the trial, if you could just share what roles each of you are playing in the trial and what has your involvement meant so far?
Well, I am, as Mary said, I'm one of the principal investigators for the clinical trial. And before this trial, I was also a principal investigator for the postnatal treatment study, where I had 2 of the 10 little boys that came to our NICU after birth and received the infusions for a couple of weeks spaced out. And unfortunately, we learned from that study that these treatments have to be given earlier during prenatal life. It's too late if the treatment is given after birth. So it was exciting to be part of that study, and then now to be able to take it the next step and be part of the prenatal trial. It's just been really exciting to me, and being able to be part of this whole thing and see how successful we hope this is going to be for the kids that get treated. So it's been fascinating to be part of this.
Sure.
Yeah, so for me, I'm new to the study, so I play a pretty big role in our center. I play the geneticist, the pediatrician, and really support the family from the very beginning. Again, as a geneticist, we just make sure the diagnosis is correct and accurate. Not everybody who has an EDA gene mutation has all the features, and so we want to make sure the eligibility is correct. And then after they're born, I wear the pediatrician hat and make sure that, they have appropriate follow-up, that they know about the condition, as well as just monitoring subtle developmental issues. After those who do get treatment, both Dr. Grange and I, we just screen for any kind of drug response or side effects. And I think we're in it for the long haul. And so hopefully we get to continue to follow these families year after year, because that's key for everybody to learn together.
Yeah, so I mean, you talk a lot about the relational network of and connection with the individuals that are a part of the trial and whatnot. What can you share about the experiences of the patients who have participated in trials at your centers?
Well, I will say, we can't really reveal any of the results yet. It's a little too soon for that, but hopefully we will be able to do that in the near future. But I will say that, it's been very successful so far. We've enrolled 4 of the 12 affected individuals at our institution. And so just being able to see them through all the visits, the prenatal visits, and then the follow-up when the babies are born, um, has just been, a really interesting experience. And I think the families are all very appreciative of being able to be in the study and see the response so far that they're witnessing on their, for their own children. So um, hopefully we'll be able to reveal some of the actual results pretty soon. But all I can say right now is it's been very successful, and we're hopefully going to be able to enroll the full number of patients that are needed for the FDA approval and move forward with it to the point where it can be approved.
Yeah, for us, it's nice to have sort of complementary centers, like someone on the West Coast and someone in the middle. For us in Los Angeles, we were just talking before the call about like navigating just travel to a medical appointment. And so learning the logistics of getting all those appointments and organizing the rest of your family. And, it's been important for everybody to feel comfortable with what they're doing and navigating the visits and what they have to do to complete everything. So for us, it's nice to be in Los Angeles because people could go to Disneyland for one day and get a 2-day pass and go see us, then go back to Disneyland. We're trying to be a little bit more humane in not over medicalizing the whole family, because people have other kids, and it's just nice to make sure that we take our time and give the families the attention versus just come into the city, get your study done, and leave in traffic is not our goal. But like Dr. Grange said, specifics about each individual, it's not there yet, and you might hear online about the goods and the bads, and I think it is medical care and it can't be perfect, but hopefully we make it easy on people.
That makes me laugh because given the role that I serve at the NFED, being in communications and marketing, you sound like you just made a really good sales pitch by
Mhm.
referencing Disneyland. Dr. Grange, what do you have to offer?
Oh, well, I can't say we have Disneyland, but we have a fabulous zoo, beautiful parks, museums. We've got lots of things in St. Louis that are very nice too. So
Conversation's taking a completely different turn because now all of a sudden it's about location.
Don't forget the St. Louis Cardinals.
right, the baseball games, true. There's that too. Yeah.
Don't go there because Dr. Sanchez has the Dodgers and they currently have a better track record.
I think let's change the subject back to, I think it's really important for people to make it easy to come wherever they live. I think, I love to travel, but yet being away from your family is not an
It's
easy
hard.
thing.
It's
So,
absolutely right. And so, but it is amazing the type of care that is provided for those who participate in this trial
Mhm.
and how you really do make sure that the things that are potentially obstacles to participate in this trial are smoothed out as much as possible so that you can focus on their care and their participation on the actual trial.
Yeah, I think the sponsor has really bent over backwards to make it as easy as possible for the families, providing transportation from their home to the airport and then pick them up at the airport, bring them to the hotel and drive them around wherever they need to go at the site, for the different visits. So we have a travel company that really manages all of that. And I think they've done a really good job of making it the best it can possibly be for all these visits. So.
Absolutely. A question that I have for you, and just as a reminder, I put this in the chat for folks that we have 2 more questions for Dr. Grange and Dr. Sanchez, but then I do want to leave a couple minutes. If anybody has a question to ask them, you can type it in the chat, and we'll be able to engage that way. Um, so the next question I have for you is actually, what does excite you most about the history of research that led to this trial and then its emerging future?
Well, like Mary said, when you think back to the role the NFED has played in this whole thing, I mean, the research funds that were made available way long time ago, many years ago, to be able to identify the gene, that funding that led to that discovery came from the NFED. And then taking that to the next step to the studies and the research that were done to find this treatment and treat the animal models to show that it would work. That funding, some of that came from the NFED as well. So they've been with it for the whole time, and now leading to support for this current clinical trial. So that's been really exciting to see that happening, and all the support and the work that the NFED has put into this through the years to make it happen.
Mm.
Yeah, no, seeing the shift from postnatal, after birth to prenatal treatment is just groundbreaking. Just there's a lot of hope for potentially restoring sweating function, and it's not just exciting, but truly historic for everybody. The trial is just redefining how many genetic conditions are looking at treatments, and I'm just truly being honest and honored just to be part of it. So I think, no one's really heard of this type of potential, and I think partnering with this type of organization that's driven by family and passion is driving the science.
Yeah, and I just want to point out to those people that aren't really aware, I mean, this is really a novel treatment. There's nothing else like this where there is a prenatal treatment that can literally correct a developmental defect by by replacing a key protein that's very necessary for development of all the different ectodermal structures. So there's nothing else like this. So if this goes forward and it's approved, there it kind of leads to potential other treatment, other conditions, congenital anomalies and other genetic disorders that might be treated like this. So it's really is groundbreaking.
Absolutely. So, I mean, that said, I mean, you're kind of leaning into it already, but why is it then so important to support these research efforts now?
Well, I just think we have to keep pushing forward, that we can't give up now. We're so close to getting this treatment approved and available for everybody in a clinical setting, not a research setting, and that it's just can't give up now. We have to keep going because it's taken many years to get to this point, and we're very close to succeeding in that.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, supporting the research is giving, the potential to give all these children a healthier start. And again, this is going to make a big splash in the news and open the door for other antenatal therapies for other conditions. Why should people, support research right now? Well, just like Dr. Grange said, we're still not past the finish line, and we need as much help and as much hands on the ground to get past there. And hopefully, with a lot of data, we'll have the best chance to get through the FDA. Partnering with the NFED just has really activated this study and kept people interested in, and aware of the study to enroll. And I think once it gets submitted to the FDA, again, it's not done. There's a lot of post-approval trials and confirmatory data. When there's a drug that's approved through what they call accelerated approval, everybody's still watching. There's something called pharmacovigilance. And so that takes a lot of time and effort. So yes, there's a apparent finish line, but everybody really has to say, we got to support this, and all hands on deck again. Although so much work has been done, I'd hate to lose all that energy, to say, okay, now let's move on to the next thing. I think there's going to be many years of conversations about this.
Mm. Mm. Absolutely. Well, if anyone has a question, feel free to just put it in the chat and we can respond to it. But since there's none in the chat right now, Dr. Grange, why don't we go ahead and share a little bit about the logistics of the clinical trial, and share some of the slides that have been prepared for us. And pull it up here. Can everybody see that okay?
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, so I'll just run through a few slides. Just I think it helps to have these visual images here to look at. So the name of this study is the Edelife Clinical Trial, which is a study for pregnant women expecting a boy that will be affected with XLHED. So next slide. And I probably don't need to belabor this too much, but we do know that what the cause is for XLHED. It's due to a mutation in a gene called EDA, which is on the X chromosome. And so women can be carriers for XLHED that can be variably affected themselves, but because it's X-linked, boys inheriting a change or a mutation in EDA are more likely to be fully affected. And the study is currently only enrolling for affected males with XLHED at this point. So it's very important to have this genetic diagnosis if you're considering being a part of the clinical trial. We have to confirm that the mother is a carrier of a mutation or a variant in the EDA gene. So you can go to the next slide. And basically here we're just showing that the EDA gene encodes a protein called ectodysplasin. And ectodysplasin is the key protein that's needed to start a whole cascade of a developmental processes that produce teeth, hair, sweat glands, and other glands of the body. So when XLHED, if the EDA protein is, the ectodysplasin protein is missing, then that whole process can't take place. So ER004 is the name of this study drug, and it is given as a replacement for the ectodysplasin that's missing or mutated in the affected individuals. So you can go to the next slide. And Dr. Holm Schneider, who some of you may have heard about, is a neonatologist and a geneticist in Germany, who was able to treat 6 boys with XLHED prior to the clinical trial with prenatal treatment for using the ER004. And that data has been published already, and he was able to show that the ability to sweat is restored to a level that's similar to normal individuals, and that is sustained over time for many years. And these boys that were treated prenatally have not had any significant episodes of life-threatening hypohidrosis or infections, and there were no major safety concerns either, which is very reassuring. Go to the next slide. So this study is now enrolling, as I said, for pregnant women expecting an unaffected boy. And you can go to the next slide. And this slide is just talking a little bit about why we're doing a clinical study when we've already had, preliminary data that suggests that it works. We still have to go through the process of a clinical trial to prove that there are benefits, and also to monitor the potential side effects. So safety is a very important part of the study as well. The sweating ability is the main anticipated benefit or the primary endpoint, but the study will follow up on the treated boys to look at other features of XLHED, like the teeth, dry eye, skin manifestations, respiratory problems, things like that. And then there is a data monitoring committee that reviews all of the data that's collected and makes sure that everything is safe for those that are participating. And the next one. So the goal is to enroll 15 to 20 pregnant women in total, and 12 have been recruited so far, which is amazing. So we already have 12 women that are in the trial and have been treated, but we still need more. We need at least 15 and preferably 20 people still to be in the study. And So if if you are interested in participating and you think that you might have XLHED as a carrier mother or affected woman, and you're pregnant, then we need to have confirmation, like I said, through genetic testing to show that you have a pathogenic variant in EDA. And if you haven't had the genetic testing already done, that can be done as part of the clinical study, which is free of charge. And then we need to determine if the baby is affected, is an affected male specifically. And that can be done by a special ultrasound or by other types of genetic testing like chorionic villus sampling or amniocentesis to show that if it is a male that he is affected. In the next slide. And this is actually a picture of our first participant at Washington University with our maternal fetal medicine specialist and the ultrasonographer giving a dose of the medication to the pregnant mother. And so 3 doses are given by injecting into the amniotic fluid. So an amniocentesis is needed, and then the medicine is given through a needle into the amniotic fluid at 3 different times, spaced out between weeks 26 and 32 of the pregnancy. And what happens at that point is that the babies, which babies normally swallow the amniotic fluid, and so they essentially swallow the investigational medication and it gets into their tissues. It's absorbed through the gastrointestinal tract, and then can help develop those ectodermal structures that would otherwise be missing or abnormal. So all the treatment is given during the pregnancy. There's no treatment given after the baby is born. And so then after the treatment is given, there's very close follow-up of the mother throughout the rest of the pregnancy and at birth, and then many follow-up visits after the baby is born. And the next one, this is just some more details about the study processes. So the first screening visit, and this is very critical, must take place between 19 and 24 weeks of pregnancy. So we need to get contact from the pregnant woman, preferably earlier in pregnancy, but that would be the latest time in pregnancy when there would still be an opportunity to join the study. And then the woman would come in for a screening visit in person to be evaluated by the study doctors, have some testing, and to confirm the baby is an affected male and that mother is eligible for the study based on her own health and everything. And then there are 3 treatment visits, as I mentioned, where the mother would come back 3 more times during the pregnancy to receive the medication through the amniocentesis. And then after the baby is born, the plan is to follow up with the boys for 5 years and monitor how they're doing with multiple different study visits and measuring sweat volume and asking questions about general health and growth and development, and looking at the teeth and other glands of the body, like the glands in the eyes, and looking at the skin for skin manifestations. I think there's another part of the slide too, if you want to advance. So timing is critical. Another key point is that it's offered only to women that are adults over 18 years of age, and they have to be enrolled in the second trimester no later than pregnancy week 24. And all of the visits require, visits specifically to a study site, which, as you've heard, is California or St. Louis, and there's no cost at all. Everything is covered by the study sponsor as far as travel and all of the medications and any of the clinical procedures are all covered by the study. And this picture just shows the different sites around the world. So there are actually not only 2 sites in the US, but also 6 more sites in Europe. So there's one in the UK, one in France, one in Spain, Italy, and 2 sites in Germany. And as I mentioned, Dr. Schneider is at Erlangen in Germany, and he is the overseeing principal investigator, the main PI for the whole study. And next slide. You can go online, you can look at the Edelife clinicaltrial.com website to get more information about the study and how to get contact with the doctors that are involved in the study. And there's also some links to other websites that might be of interest. And I think that's the last slide. Oh, yeah, fine. No, the last slide is, again, shows Mary here from the NFED, who's been played a key role in helping to recruit for the study, for letting everybody know about the study, and doing many of these educational and webinars and things like that throughout the last few years to help us find the patients that may be eligible and interested in being in the study. And then this just shows myself and Dr. Klein and Dr. Sanchez from Los Angeles and Dr. Schneider from Germany, who's the coordinating PI. That's it.
And I think, Dr. Grange, thank you so much for walking through this and helping. I mean, I learn something every time I hear someone, and especially yourself, share about this study. But one of the things I think we've talked about at the NFED is the importance of sharing this information, not only with those who are watching this webinar or even participating, who maybe considering this for themselves as maybe a woman who is pregnant, but also with those who know about potential carriers in their family and whatnot. Could you just speak to that real briefly about the importance of sharing this with others and maybe in your family who may be carriers?
Right. Yeah. I mean, if there are family members that may be carriers or at risk to be a carrier, and they think they might be interested in this study, even if they're not currently planning a pregnancy right now, just thinking towards the future, it's always important to get the genetic testing to confirm what type of ectodermal dysplasia it is, because we've gotten some questions from other families saying, well, can I be part of the study if I have a WNT10A variant, or I have a different type of ectodermal dysplasia? It's really only right now just for XLHED. So the genetic testing is very important. And so we are encouraging women of childbearing age who might be thinking of having a child, even if not, it's not right away, to get themselves tested so they can be ready for that.
Can I just chime in here? We are asking for all men who hear this, see this,
Mm-hmm.
anything about this, to share this information with all, if you're affected by X-linked HED, all your female relatives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just check to see if they're carriers, because a lot of times you don't know. And I also will mention, we do have funding for genetic
Mhm.
testing, and we've made it a high priority to encourage and find ways to fund genetic testing so that you are prepared, right? That you do know, because if you don't know, you don't know what your options are. And what a shame it would be not to have the opportunity because you didn't have the information. So it's super important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dr. Sanchez, I saw you went on mute. Is there something you wanted to add to that?
Just the window is so small,
Yeah.
you got to know between 19 and 24 weeks just to get enrolled in the study. So a lot of people, they're like, oh, I'll think about it. And it's unfortunate, but we've already experienced some people who do miss the window for the trial.
Mhm.
And even when it's FDA approved, or if it's FDA approved, like it'll still be the same window. And
Yeah.
so I think I'll admit, none of my 3 kids were planned. They were all surprises. And so surprises happen. And so just like we're hearing on this call, just, if you have a male that has XLHD, they might have a sister, and just let people know about the study, and like once you're ready, get the genetic testing, because it's easy. It's just a saliva sample, and now that you have the mutation, then if you get pregnant, then they'll know what to look for. Versus if you get pregnant today and you don't know the mutation, you have to test and confirm it in the mom and then confirm it in the baby. And there's a little bit of delay. We'll take care of everything. It's very well supported for anybody who's making that decision, but you don't want to rush anything. You want to be as supported as possible.
And
Yeah.
wouldn't you agree that for all genetic disorders or all ectodermal dysplasias, genetic testing, I mean, science is moving rapidly. And if
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
miss whatever opportunity or whatever window there is, you missed. a chance. So I would encourage our families to seek genetic testing when they're ready, if they're comfortable with that.
Yeah.
And I think it's this is all a lot of information to hear about a trial and whatnot. And thank you so much for making it so easy to understand. But I also know that if you have any questions, you can reach out to us at the NFED. You can reach out to Dr. Grange or Dr. Sanchez, as their contact information was on that slide as well. But it's really important to talk to a participant who has gone through this journey. And so I will say, so thrilled to have Beth on this call. And I believe that Michael was around at some point.
Yeah, Matthew was.
Oh, I'm sorry, Matthew.
Matthew has moved on. But, yeah,
He's moved
for a
on.
minute. Yeah.
So can you just introduce yourself a little bit? Who you are? Tell us a bit about Matthew. Aside from this trial, tell us about your son.
Yeah, so my name's Beth. I live in the DFW, Texas area. And then my son Matthew just turned 1 and he is affected by XLHED. My dad is affected by XLHED, so I knew that I was a carrier. And before I got pregnant, I went ahead and kind of like we were talking about the genetic testing ahead of time. I went ahead and got tested. The NFED worked with me to make sure that I was asking for the right testing, that I kind of understood what I needed to ask for, and what type of geneticist I needed to see in order to get that done. So that when I did find out I was pregnant with a little boy, I was able to enroll in the trial pretty quickly. So that involved communicating with Mary and then Dr. Grange. And then once that genetic testing came back positive while I was pregnant, I mean, the getting enrolled in the trial was pretty quick.
Mm. What was that moment like for you in terms of knowing that you could participate in a trial like this after your diagnosis?
So my dad has been involved with NFED for a very long time. And so we always got mailings at home about, I think there was a study for dogs for a little while, and then there were the 6 boys who were treated in Germany. And there was also the test or the drug trial that was for like postnatal treatment. And so we were getting updates um kind of throughout the years. And so when it was time to start considering starting a family, I knew that there was something potentially available. And I just kind of started reading a little bit more on the NFED website. I am a nurse, so I'm pretty adept at reading and at least searching for some medical articles. So I read all those publications before I really dove into the current trial. So it was pretty exciting, honestly, when I realized that this was something that was something I could potentially participate in.
So you've gone through the trial, or you're in the trial. What's the experience been like for you? And what kind of support have you received along the way?
Um, it's been great. I mean, I don't want to say that it's been easy because I don't think a clinical trial is ever easy, but as far as the practical stuff goes, I mean, I get an email that tells me basically when to show up to the airport and everything else is taken care of. So that's great. I have someone available to answer any questions that I have um, at any time. So just being able to work with people who are excited for us and really positive about our participation has been a great experience. Yeah, it's been exciting to kind of see how well Matthew has been doing and to then turn around and share that with others. We got to go to the family conference this year and meet other participants That was a lot of fun. So, yeah, it's been a really positive experience.
So, I mean, you say it's been a positive experience, and we're thrilled about that. We've heard that from others as well. Um, but what would you say to someone who may be experiencing some significant angst or nerves about participating in this sort of trial? What would be your word to them?
Um, don't be afraid to ask questions. Uh, People not only want you to participate, but they want you to want to participate. Um,
Mm.
so don't be afraid to ask the hard questions. People want to answer them for you. Um, I know it's a very like personal decision, individual decision, and it's something that people take really seriously and think really hard about. Um, but I think the NFED has done a really good job of providing that space for potential participants. So, um, yeah, I want people to have the opportunity to know that this is available to them, that there is a potential treatment, that there is a support network, um, because it's just invaluable to us.
Mm. Mm. And the last thing I wanted to ask is similar to what we asked Dr. Grange and Dr. Sanchez was why do you believe this sort of research in a clinical trial like this one, and even supporting the NFED's role in advancing it is so important?
It's just such an exciting like scientific advancement. I mean, like on a personal level, I'm getting to see how it's changing and affecting our lives. But I have been a pediatric nurse for 11 years now. And so it's really cool to be able to think about maybe the kids that I take care of in a professional manner, think about how maybe they could benefit from clinical studies like this in the future. Um, so it almost feels like I'm in a sci-fi movie sometimes when you think about, oh my gosh, like we're treating something prenatally. Um,
Mind blowing.
and yeah. Oh, and somebody super creative and way smarter than me developed that idea, and other people have taken that idea and have turned it into reality, and we're seeing incredible effects from it. So um I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be able to even participate and be a piece of that.
It's
I
amazing.
got, I got a question, not to put you on the spot, Beth, but your dad's been involved, your parents have been involved for a long time, and your dad's really special to us. And I had a lot of conversations with him before you participated and after and at family conference. What would he say? What does this mean to him as a grandfather?
Oh, I think he's so excited. And I think he talks a lot about how, like, as kind of the head of the house, I guess you could say, it's like his duty. He feels it's very important to uh tell the women in the family that there is a potential to be a part of this, and to really support participation. And um it's fun because I feel like he has a very special connection to Matthew that the
Yes,
rest of
yes, you
us can't
said at
really
conference.
have.
Yes,
And so that's really fun to see. um
beautiful to
we
see.
uh we actually, so I live in Texas, they live in Indiana, and when we go to St. Louis for trial visits, they'll meet us there a lot of the time. And so it's a little bit of a family reunion, and it makes something that's sometimes very clinical really fun.
That's That's beautiful. And I would love before we turn it back over to Mary to kind of wrap us up. Since your your doctor is here, I wasn't sure if there's anything you would want to say to Dr. Grange or vice versa as we wrap up here. It's neat to have you both on the screen.
Yeah, I mean, just we are so incredibly grateful um, for the opportunity, for the care, for the support, and really just the hope that we have. Um, because of this trial. And we're just so excited to kind of see where it goes from here.
So are we.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're so happy that, you know, you have these women like yourself, Beth, who've, you know, had the courage and brave enough to be part of it and say you're going
Right.
to go ahead and, you know, be part of a sci-fi movie.
Dr. Sanchez, anything from you as a final word before we turn to Mary?
You know, it's great to meet Beth and just hear from those trailblazers. Like, really, this is uncharted territory, and I think it takes someone who's, you know, ready emotionally and ready with their family, and I think we're all excited, but we need those brave people to step up, and I'm glad that it was someone like you who has a medical background. You know, you're seeing all the risks and benefits, and you're really listening and knowing that you're trying to balance everything, and there's a lot of uncertainty, and I'm glad that things are working out.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, Mary, you want to bring us home?
Well, I could go on, but I won't, I promise. You know, we're just so grateful to the brave women who participated in these clinical trials and all of the efforts of all of the researchers to keep pushing, pushing, pushing. You know, I do consider Holmes Snyder like my hero because he really never stopped advocating for this research. He never ever gave up hope. And even the brave women who participated in the pre-birth, the afterbirth trials. I mean, what they contributed to this effort is amazing, and they should be commended as well. So I'm grateful for all of you for participating in this webinar. And my hope is, and my role, our role is to provide information, to make sure we get accurate information to our community so women can make an informed decision. We're not trying to persuade anybody. We want everybody to have the opportunity to have the information. And we would be doing a very poor job if we didn't continue to provide this information so women, families, parents can make an informed decision about these clinical trials. So you can always reach out to me, always, and I will always listen to you and provide the information and connect you to the resources, help you get genetic testing, and connect you to the investigators who are working on the clinical trials. They're the best resource for the information. But I'm always happy, and I love talking to all of you. So I'm very grateful. Thank you all for participating in this webinar. I think it was amazing. And if you're listening after the fact, I'm hoping this information reaches you and you reach out with any questions. So thank you all. Thanks, Greg, for facilitating. Thanks, Beth, for your courage and participating. And of course, Dr. Grange and Sanchez and all of the participants. Thank you very much.
You all.
Good night.